In the mystical realm of the Heluo Dynasty, a humble Taoist priest named Li Chu finds himself unexpectedly thrust into a world of cultivation and ancient power. Initially unassuming, Li Chu lacks the flashy gear and magical abilities of his peers. Yet, his journey takes a dramatic turn when he uncovers his hidden potential. After killing a fierce water ghost, everyone starts flocking to him for help, especially in fighting evil spirits and monsters. He's also pretty popular among the ladies, who thirst for his pretty face. Will Li Chu harness his inner power to become the hero this world needs, or will he falter under the weight of the enemy's power? It is yet to be seen. In the ancient Heluo Dynasty, in Yuhan Town's Tenli Slope, there is a man named Li Chu, a regular Taoist priest who's been around for almost a year. Li Chu isn't anything special. He's just a traveler, not blessed with any fancy gear or magical powers. However, he's got a knack for fighting off creatures and leveling up. He's at level 71 now, which is progress, although painfully slow. Yet, it's enough to keep him safe, so he's content. Li Chu isn't exactly sure how strong he is, probably not much, but he's not too shabby either. He's not out to be a hero. He just does what needs to be done with precision. He is setting small goals for himself, like wiping out these demon lanterns. Those lanterns are so terrified of him that they run for their lives when he shows up. As he finishes off the last one, Li Chu vows to reach level 100. You might wonder if all his tasks are this lame. Well, they pretty much are. Sometimes he heads to the eastern forest to battle ghost bees, or the southern wasteland to tackle wine jar monsters, or the northern foothills to deal with black hairballs. The last one definitely sounds wrong. As long as the monsters are easy pickings, Li Chu is ready to ball. Thanks to these weak foes, he's been steadily getting stronger. One day, in Yuhan Town, a helpless woman cries to Yu Chi for help. Her son was dragged into the water by the water ghost of the Blackwater River and got killed. They also held his body for ransom and would only surrender him if they sacrificed their daughter. Well, that doesn't sound like a very good deal, does it? Listening to the woman's story, Li Chu can't help but think that the ghost has at least 100 years of Taoism and is undoubtedly ruthless. Yu Chi comforts the crying daughter, saying he can't stand seeing a beautiful woman being aggrieved. He further reassures the daughter that he will take matters into his own hands. Hearing this, the daughter and her mother immediately bow before the old man, thanking him for the help. However, as soon as they walk away, Yu Chi passes the mission to Li Chu, his disciple. Li Chu is shocked to receive such a mission, as he isn't even sure if he has the skills for the job. Yu Chi realizes he's right, so he tells Li Chu that he will back him up if ever he fails. Li Chu is easily manipulated by the old fart's tactics, and his eyes immediately light up after hearing how caring Yu Chi is. Noticing that his master is contemplating, Li Chu asks how he's going to help. Yu Chi chooses not to disclose it and merely says he has his own ways. Right away, Li Chu heads to the Blackwater River to face the water ghost. A menacing creature emerges from the water, ferociously asking who dares to approach him. Suddenly, the water ghost casts an illusion spell on Li Chu, making him see images of smoking hot women, coddling him like he's a piece of meat. However, Li Chu remains focused, and he also realizes that the water ghost cultivation is strong and tricky. Thank God he's in post-touching clarity. Meanwhile, the water ghost laughs, assuming that Li Chu fell for his illusion spell. However, Li Chu pulls a Moses move on the creature, separating the river with a simple swing of his sword. The creature lags, not realizing that the water is gone, and that he's exposing his ding-dong in all its fishy glory. Without wasting a second, Li Chu slices the water ghost into pieces, boosting his level. Despite winning the duel against the water ghost, Li Chu still acknowledges that the creature's illusion is commendable and scary. The villagers immediately lift Li Chu in the air, celebrating his bravery. However, he remains humble, thinking he made a small step toward becoming like his master, despite being weak. After the incident with the water ghost, Li Chu decides to visit an unfamiliar part of town. Some girls fawn over him, knowing that he's the Taoist priest who does amazing tricks with his sword. Not the other sword, unfortunately. Li Chu has stayed in the novice village for a year because he was embarrassed by being a traverser, but it's nice to be out. While in town, he thinks about buying a nice suit for himself. Suddenly, Sheriff Joe rushes to Li Chu, seeking his aid against a ghost, haunting the government office. However, Li Chu worries that his 322-day monster-killing streak will be broken, delaying his goal of reaching level 100. Sheriff Joe acknowledges this drawback, but he compensates by paying extra. Li Chu knows that he has to help, as it's his duty, but really, he also wants to earn some cash. Sheriff Joe guides Li Chu to the residence of Da Yang, a prominent figure in the town. Upon arrival, they are met by Lady Yang, Da Yang's concubine. She is distraught and claims that the first madam has become a victim of the grudge ghost. Li Chu comforts her and inquires about the events of the previous night. Sheriff Joe encourages Lady Yang to speak, assuring her of Li Chu's ability to keep her safe. However, he only wants to appear nice because he's interested in the newly widowed woman. He looks more like a creep than a nice guy. Meanwhile, Lady Yang latches onto Li Chu's arm, telling him that she will reveal everything if he promises to protect her. With this, she starts unveiling the truth, saying that ever since she has stayed in the house, the master hasn't been treating the madam very well. They fought a lot, which eventually caused her to hang herself. Last night, Lady Yang saw the madam climbing onto the bed that she shared with the master. However, when she woke up in the morning, the master was lying dead beside her, looking like a pool of rotten meat. On top of that, all of the men in the family are dead. This even extends to the workers, leaving all the women as exemptions. The concubine is convinced that the madam is seeking revenge on all men. Listening to this, Li Chu speculates that they're dealing with a resentful spirit. To investigate further, he decides to stay over to see if the ghost will show itself. However, the sheriff says that a grudge spirit is not made that easily, and it's a very rare case. However, if it's truly what they're dealing with, he does know that the madam is a woman with plenty of jealous fits. Li Chu asks the sheriff if he thinks Da Yang killed his own wife, but Sheriff Joe replies that it doesn't matter, because they're both dead anyway. Just then, Lady Yang asks Li Chu to help her do a proper exorcism rite. She's very desperate for his help and offers to provide him with all the necessities. However, Li Chu breaks it to them that he doesn't know how to do exorcism rites. How ironic. Lady Yang is shocked to hear this, as it's very unlikely for a Taoist priest to not know these things. She wonders how he can exorcise the first madam now. Li Chu smiles, saying that he has other ways to exorcise her. Later that night, Li Chu sits alone in the dark, waiting for the first madam to show herself. As expected, she appears looking like a demon with an excessively long tongue. She floats towards Li Chu, claiming that all men must die. However, as long as her eyes land on Li Chu, she is stunned by how handsome he is. Our MC has got some serious riz. The ghost gets all bashful before Li Chu, saying that if Da Yang were handsome like him, then she wouldn't be filled with hate. Suddenly, Li Chu asks the ghost if she has let go of her hatred, but she malevolently replies that it's not easy. Suddenly, Li Chu grabs his sword to prepare himself for a fight. However, at his level, he can't help but feel skeptical about beating this wench. After all, he's only at level 71 pitted against a grudge spirit. Meanwhile, the ghost tests her luck with the dashing Li Chu, promising to let him go if he hugs her. Li Chu never thought he looked that handsome, but it does seem to work on this ghost. Determined to end the case as soon as possible, he opens his arms, gesturing for the ghost to bring it in. Without wasting her chances, the ghost immediately dives for a hug, and just like that, the grudge ghost turns into the ordinary ghost of the first madam, who happens to be very beautiful. She's beyond relieved, but she does wish to have met him sooner. The first lady is about to reveal something to Li Chu, but she abruptly disappears into thin air. All that is left of her is a copper coin, which Li Chu decides to throw away. He might be short of money, but he's not accepting any from the dead. When he gets outside, he is greeted by the sheriff. Sheriff Joe is surprised that it took him so quickly to handle the grudge ghost, so Li Chu replies that it went rather smoothly. To celebrate the event, Sheriff Joe asks Li Chu to join him in the spring house to play with some women. However, Li Chu refuses, saying he doesn't have to spend money with his pretty face. Geez, calm down now. However, unbeknownst to the men, an evil entity still exists within the shadows. It grabs the coin, claiming that its king needs more resentment. Later on, Sheriff Joe heads to his office, relieved that the issue about Sue Da Yang's family has been solved. Now he just has to worry about the massacre in Li village. It just keeps getting worse. Nevertheless, there's a hint of relief on his face, knowing that Li Chu's intervention brought closure to the ghostly troubles that had plagued Da Yang's family. Suddenly, someone barges into his office, making the sheriff enraged. However, his face lights up in excitement when he realizes that it's a woman with ginormous mommy milkers. That mommy milker is no other than Li Xinyi, a brocade-clad guard of Chao Tian Chua Palace. organization typically in charge of killing evil spirits. Sheriff Joe panics and immediately welcomes her. Li Xinyi, on the other hand, clarifies that she's not affiliated with the sheriff, so he should just call her Miss Li. She then cozies up in the sheriff's chair, saying that she heard of grudge spirits committing homicides under Joe's jurisdiction. She taunts Sheriff Joe, asking if there's anything that he should be guilty of. At this point, it seems like he's not even trying to solve the cases. Sheriff Joe starts crying like a child, desperately explaining that he doesn't know what's going on. Suddenly, Li insists that his conscience is guilty because he asked help from Li Chu, a liar who doesn't even know what he's doing. If he was really honest, then he should have turned to the Chao Tian Chuwe Palace for help. Suddenly, someone looks for the sheriff, and it's no other than Li Chu. Upon setting her eyes on the handsome MC, Li immediately falls for him. Is Li Chu really that appealing? Worried that a fight might ensue, Sheriff Joe tells Li Chu that it's not a good time to visit. However, he suddenly falls to the ground. After receiving a power chop from Li, she immediately runs to Li Chu like a high school girl, eagerly introducing herself. Sheriff Joe is shocked to see Li change her personality in a snap. Meanwhile, Li Chu also introduces himself to Li. However, he says he's no longer needed by the sheriff, because someone from the Chao Tian Chuwe Palace is already here. Li stops him from leaving, convincing him that they still need his expertise. She further explains that she's a newcomer who is not familiar with the situation, so Li Chu can orient her about that. With his help, they can also solve more cases simultaneously. However, Li Chu focuses on his priority, the reward. Li reassures him that he will get paid as agreed, causing Li Chu to go on about his cultivator philosophy speech. With this, the two set off to solve the cases going on around town. That night, Li and Li Chu head to the crime scene to investigate. Li finds the killing strange, since each family member died differently. Lady Liu from blunt force trauma, the son, Fan Gong, poisoned, and the husband, Fan Da, strangled himself. Li suspects a grudge spirit is responsible, so she uses talismans to probe further. She reveals an additional death, Chun Ying Ying, who fell down a hill. Excitedly, she tells Li Chu she set up sword talismans to tackle the spirit, confident it'll be easy. Meanwhile, Li Chu stays silent, aware of his lack of expertise compared to her professionalism. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind surrounds the area, prompting Li to warn Li Chu that an entity is about to appear. Suddenly, a childlike ghost appears before them, saying it has been killed by its brother, and that its mother and father kill each other. The ghost also reveals that someone else also died. The ghost voice grows louder, further disturbing Li. When she opens her eyes, she's engulfed in the haunting memories of the Li family and Chun Ying Ying. Adopted by the Li family after her father's death, Ying Ying suffers abuse at their hands. Lady Liu endures beatings from Fan Da, while Fan Gong inappropriately touches Ying Ying. In a shocking revelation, Ying Ying is revealed to have poisoned Fan Gong. Enraged by these memories, the ghost attacks Li, snapping her back to reality. Li snaps back into reality, blushing and barely catching her own breath. Blushing and breathless, Li tries to regain her composure as Li Chu checks on her. Surprised by his lack of shared experience, Li explains how the grudging spirit has blended the hallucination seamlessly into their surroundings, catching her off guard. She's quite surprised that Li Chu was unaffected by it. Li further elaborates that an overly powerful hallucination is like water overflowing a mountaintop. It's enough to drown you. Li Chu seems ignorant while listening to her, which somehow gives Li a bit of an ick. Determined to confront the grudge spirit alone, Li warns Li Chu not to interfere, unless she asks. Meanwhile, the ghost asks Li Chu if he has a family, but our MC says no, causing the ghost to float away uninterested. However, Li says that they can't let the ghost go, so they must find a way to arouse her resentment and make her stay. Knowing that the ghost's family is her greatest trigger, Li Chu yells that the ghost's mother is dead and that she's an orphan with no family members left. Geez, a little harsh there, Li Chu. With 3 insults fired at her, the ghost throws a fit. It suddenly rushes towards them with pure evil in its eyes. This makes Li realize that the ghost they're dealing with is the grudge spirit who killed the Li family. She quickly warns Li Chu of this discovery, and she tells him not to do anything. Li swiftly uses a bunch of talismans to kill the ghost, causing the place to light up from the explosions. She struggles to kill the ghost, even with the use of multiple talismans. Meanwhile, Li Chu thinks that she has her own reasons for putting the ghost's death on hold. He also believes that she's rather festive in her techniques. Meanwhile, Li worries because she has used up all of her 18 sword revelation talismans, But the ghost is still hanging on. It's a bit exhausted now, so she must use this opportunity to finish her off. However, before Li can deliver the finishing blow, the ghost pleads to spare her life. The ghost claims to be frightened and pleads for mercy, promising to behave if Li spares its life. This display of drama seems to affect Li, stirring a sense of pity for the ghost. After all, it's just a child of the tragic past. Ultimately, she decides to alleviate the ghost's resentment before allowing it to move on to the afterlife. But psych, the ghost suddenly attacks, covering her in its ghostly limbs with the intent to kill. Witnessing the situation, Li Chu asks if he should intervene. Upon receiving confirmation from Li, Li Chu swiftly slashes the ghost's limbs with a single blow of his sword. Li takes a second to process what happened, but she's quite shocked to witness her companion's skills. Li Chu tries downplaying the incident, saying it's just a normal attack. However, Li's curiosity gets the better of her, prompting her to ask about his level in the 7 realms of heavenly beings and whether he learned his skills at the Abbey. Li Chu hesitates before revealing that he improvised the name for that move, dubbing it Tao, representing the fundamental principle underlying the universe. With their mission completed, the two decide to head back to town. However, before leaving, Li leaves her red hair tie in the residence. In Chun Yingying's flashback, Li saw that the little girl longed to have a red hair tie, like the other kids. Hoping to alleviate Chun Yingying's envy in the afterlife, Li leaves the item behind for her. As they leave the area, a copper coin falls to the ground, mirroring the one found in the Li residence. The following day at Diyun Abbey, Li Chu begins to worry over the hazards of battling Grudge Spirits. While they may seem straightforward to handle, hidden traps lurk at every turn. He acknowledges Li's strength surpasses his own, yet her kindness nearly kills her. This leaves Li Chu pondering whether he would have acted with such kindness if their roles were reversed. Recalling a Taoist scripture, he contemplates the thought that maintaining security often requires ruthless resolve. Later on, Li Chu asks Yu Qian what the 7 realms of heavenly beings are. Although this is supposed to be a cultivator's common sense, the master still explains the basics to Li Chu. He shares that there are 7 major realms that cultivators have to go through: the body forging realm, the energy sea realm, the soul interrogation realm, the dragon transformation realm, the almighty realm, the transcendent realm, and the immortal realm. Among these, the body forging realm prioritizes improving physical attributes. The energy sea realm centers on storing energy within the Dan Tian. The soul integration realm revolves around ensuring the continuity of the soul. The dragon transformation realm is dedicated to developing the dragon body. The almighty realm emphasizes the harmonization of heaven and humanity. The transcendence realm aims for exceptional refinement and elevation, while the immortal realm seeks immortality and transformation. Li Chu thanks his master for sharing his knowledge. However, he knows that his methods are different from the common cultivator, so the classification of realms may not apply to him. Just then, Yu Qian reminds Li Chu that cultivators should put greater importance on the state of mind rather than power. Before Li Chu departs, Yu Qian tells him not to persist in his quest for power, or he will never find peace. On a rainy day, Li Chu and Yu Qian witness a fox-like monster worshipping in the temple of Diyun Abbey. Yu Qian says that the monster seems like it's about to transform and seek blessings from the 3 pure ones, which may likely be common in the future. Li Chu wonders if it's alright for a monster to worship in the abbey, so Yu Qian replies that the monster must be a righteous one, who hasn't done evil deeds, because it dared to worship the 3 pure ones. As the monster leaves the temple, it bows respectfully to the 2 men before scurrying away. Yu Qian explains that only half of the monsters survived the tribulation during transformation, so they seek blessings from gods and Buddhas to improve their chances. Some may also attempt to join immortal sects for protection. Among the 12 immortal sects, the Fengzheng sect stands out for its distinctive practice of signing blood contracts with demons, effectively enslaving them for hundreds of years. This grants the sect considerable power, as they trade monsters for favors with influential figures in the court. Li Chu wonders what the master means by exchanging monsters, so Yu Qian elaborates. He explains that even the influential figures in Xiaoga City are intrigued by monsters, despite having witnessed many extraordinary phenomena. These monsters include catwomen, vixens, mermaids, and others. Lately, monsters with wings like butterflies have gained popularity. So it's like Pokemon? Yu Qian reminisces about his days as a traveler, when snakes were all the rage. Officials wouldn't dare to venture out without their own snakes. Finding it odd to keep snakes as pets, Li Chu expresses his confusion. Yu Qian clarifies that these weren't ordinary snakes, but ones capable of transforming into humans. He enthusiastically describes the snake's qualities, praising its soft and smooth body, fabulous tongue, and boneless form. Li Chu can't help but feel a bit disturbed, especially when Yu Qian mentions that the snake's forked tongue remains, even after transformation. Realizing that Li Chu is not as excited as him, Yu Qian is disappointed by his lack of awareness in the romantic field. Actually, Qian, some people are just normal, ya know? Suddenly, an elite from Yuhan town named Wang Longqi barges into the abbey, looking for Li Chu. The people gossip about Wang Longqi, calling him the Ghost Knight, who slept with the Ghost Bride. Yes, he literally went canoodling with a ghost, although I don't know how that works. This brought great shame to the young man, ruining his prospects of getting married in the future. As soon as Li Chu sees him, Wang Longqi immediately sobs in his arms, wailing that life sucks. I know what else has been sucked, but anyway, Li Chu asks his friend, "What's the matter?" Wang Longqi explains that he has fallen in love with a girl, but Li Chu cuts him off and asks if it's a human or a ghost. Wang Longqi anxiously clarifies that she's human, and that incident with the ghost was out of his control. He claims to have been bewitched, and if it weren't for Li Chu, he would have been dead meat. He further explains that he has had enough fun in recent years that he wants to settle down already. Wang Longqi happens to have met a woman that fits his description of a great wife, so he must marry her at all costs. Wang Longqi has a great dilemma though. His nemesis, Zhao Liankai, is also set to marry that girl, prompting him to make a bet out of anger. The stupid Wang Longqi challenged Zhao Liankai to stay in the Liu Memorial Archway overnight, knowing that there was a ghost residing in the area. The first to flee out of fright will be the loser, leaving the winner with the privilege of marrying the girl. I wonder if the girl has any ideas on who these idiots are. According to their rules, they can bring one person along, and Wang Longqi's lucky guy is no other than our MC Wang Longqi. Immediately gets all clingy, claiming that they're best friends. However, Li Chu swats his hands away and turns his back on Wang Longqi. Well, that's embarrassing. Desperate, Wang Longqi promises to renovate Diyun Abbey and double its scale. Without wasting a second, Li Chu wraps his new best friend in his arms, claiming that this is about friendship and not money. Our MC surely learned a thing or two from his master. That night, the two head to the planned location, where they meet Xiao Liankai and his brother, Zhao Liangchun. Wang Longqi and Zhao Liankai taunt each other like male cats in heat, both eager to win the bet. However, before the fight escalates, someone intervenes. It's Miss Gansun, the coveted bride. Zhao Liankai, with his googly eyes, asks Gansun why she came, to which she responds that she couldn't sit idly by after hearing about the bet circulating through town. Suddenly, Gansun notices Li Chu, making her blush and giddy. She excitedly calls him, making Wang Longqi wonder if the two know each other. Gansun proudly shares that Li Chu once saved her and her father when they were chased by assassins from the Green Wing Tower. Since then, she had the fattest crush on him. Well, the game's over, folks. The presence of Li Chu prompts Gansun to accompany the men in their little bet. As they enter the ghost building, Zhao Liankai drools at the thought of Gansun running into his man Pex when she gets scared later. Meanwhile, Wang Longqi has the same idea of being Gansun's comfort instead of Zhao Liankai. Little do they know, Gansun has a different plan altogether. She intends to run to Li Chu if she gets scared. After all, she has every reason to, right? While everyone has their agenda, Li Chu dreads being dragged into the situation. Inside the building, the brothers take separate paths, while Gansun accompanies Li Chu and Wang Longqi. Upon stepping into a private room, Zhao Liankai immediately voices his worries that he might not score with Gansun because she's away from them. Liangchun then grabs a bottle tucked in his shirt, saying that they can get help from a few small ghosts. As soon as he opens the bottle, a bunch of baby ghosts emerge from inside it, and they're all hungry. Zhao Liankai freaks out, but Liangchun assures him they won't harm them and can be controlled. With this, Liangchun instructs the ghost to attack Gansun downstairs. Meanwhile, Wang Longqi shares how he fell for Gansun, having first seen her at a banquet 2 days prior and vowing to marry her ever since. Just when I thought this guy was serious, Gansun hears Wang Longqi's monologue from the other room, but she's more occupied with the thought of confessing her crush to Li Chu. Although she might get rejected, it's still a win. Seriously, woman? Lost in her infatuated thoughts, Gansun fails to notice the ghosts closing in on her. Horrified, she rushes into the room where Li Chu is, inadvertently squashing Wan Long Chi behind the door. Finally achieving her goal for the night, she clings to Li Chu's sturdy chest. The ghosts burst into the room, swarming Li Chu and biting him everywhere. However, they find their teeth shattering against his solid form. He's as hard as a rock. As Gansun strategically clings to Li Chu, Zhao Liang Kai heroically runs into the hallway and starts fighting one of the ghosts. He then dives into the room to save Gansun, embracing her in the process. However, his bravery turns to shock when he realizes he's holding one of the ghosts instead of his desired bride. Almost falling victim to the ghost's attack, Li Chu swiftly intervenes and slices it in half before it can harm Liang Kai. Meanwhile, Liang Chun hurries into the room, prompting Liang Kai to cry out to him in fear. "Theft, some tough guy you are." Liang Chun claims he felt the aura of fierce ghosts in the building, so he urges the others to leave now. Gansun encourages Li Chun to leave with her, but our MC wants to secure his money before doing so. Liang Kai explains that Liang Chun is the strongest disciple in the Fei Lai sect, and they must trust his judgment because he will keep them safe. Liang Chun further tells Li Chu that he has never seen such a sign of danger in his sect. He also believes that there must be more than 2 or 3 ghosts in the vicinity, and a ghost may inhabit each room. Li Chu doesn't say anything, but he does notice the aura appear out of nowhere. Meanwhile, Long Chi and Liang Kai agree to cancel the bet. As they make their way out, Liang Kai shares that the family who once lived in the house was implicated in a major rebellion case 70 or 80 years ago, and they were all killed in a single night. Liang Chun confirms the story, adding that the place has been a haunted mansion since then, leaving no survivors who dare to enter. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind disturbs the group, revealing a big group of ghosts. One of the ghosts attempts to attack Long Chi, so he bravely sacrifices himself so Li Chu can take Gansun to safety. However, it takes Li Chu a single swing of his sword to kill the ghost and others who want to attack them. Maybe Long Chi can save that heroic speech for some other time. Meanwhile, the Zhao brothers are terrified upon seeing Yayu, a fierce ghost monster from the underworld. Liang Chun is confused as to why this is possible, causing him to suspect that the mansion is linked to the Ghost Kingdom. Yayu power kicks Liang Chun into a wall, leaving him defeated. He could easily save himself from this situation, but a righteous cultivator wouldn't do this. Suddenly, the unscathed Li Chu approaches him, asking why they're still in the building. Liang Chun is shocked that Li Chu doesn't know Yayu, but he's certain. He can tell how powerful a monster is. Out of nowhere, Li Chu slices off Yayu's head with one slash, greatly shocking Liang Chun. Li Chu suddenly reminds him of his master, at the peak of the soul integration realm, and he once cut off a dragon's head with a single slash. Liang Chun always wanted to be a powerful swordsman, but compared to Li Chu's sword, Liang Chun's master is a mere wimp. Suddenly, Yayu explodes from the attack, but Li Chu doesn't even look back because apparently he's too cool for it. Seeing this, Liang Chun gets starstruck by his manly aura. Meanwhile, in Whitebone Mountain, a ghost reports to its superior that someone has entered the ghost building and survived. The superior is baffled as to why Yayu failed to kill him. Sadly, the ghost reveals that a powerful Taoist dispatched the great beast with ease. Concerned, the superior decides to closely monitor Yuhang Town, realizing they can't afford any mistakes now, as their king's seal is on the verge of being broken. The next day, Li Chu approaches Yu Chi-an. The master shares some watermelon with him, mentioning that it's a gift from Miss Li. While Yu Chi-an can't recall Li's full name, he vividly remembers her mommy milkers and thunder thighs. For an old man, he has quite the memory. He even remembers that she has a mole on her left melon. Yu Chi-an also mentions Li left 50 taels of silver for him as a reward for their recent case. Suddenly, Li Chu questions whether it's justified to eliminate a group of ghosts living peacefully among humans. Yu Chi-an turns the question back to him, noting that Li Chu already does this with the monsters he exterminates, such as the lanterns in Shili Po. Li Chu argues that monsters can be tamed, unlike ghosts, which are stronger and more intelligent. Yu Chi-an explains that there's no inherent good or evil among monsters and ghosts. They can be humanized and guided. If they behave, humans shouldn't interfere with their existence because they have their own destinies to fulfill. Confused, Li Chu seeks clarification, prompting Yu Qian to explain that demons are formed when creatures are demonized, and reverting them to their original forms is challenging. Ghosts, however, are transformed from spirits that cannot be reincarnated. Regardless of the circumstances, eliminating ghosts helps them return to the correct path. Yu Qian further elaborates that they can eliminate demons and ghosts without assessing their morality, a process known as expiation, which isn't considered killing. Armed with this insight, Li Chu thanks his master and departs, leaving Yu Qian to ponder the young man's intentions. That night, Li Chu returns to the ghost building, eagerly seeking out the presence of ghosts. He encounters a ghost singing to herself and casually offers her the unique experience of expiation. News spreads to Whitebone Mountain, where a ghost informs its superior that the Taoist returned and cleared out the entire building in a single night. Enraged, the superior demands to know why the ghost didn't intervene. The ghost admits that Li Chu is a formidable opponent, and witnessing his prowess would deter anyone from challenging him. Determined to take action, the superior vows to prevent Li Chu's return, while the ghost can only hope that he stays away. Renovations are underway at Diyun Abbey, as Wang Longqi had promised. Despite Li Chu's offer to oversee the work himself, Master Yu Qian insists on staying, secretly hoping to uncover any hidden treasures that the workers might stumble upon. Suddenly, a young woman rushes toward Li Chu in distress, introducing herself as Yu'er. She explains that her clan's leader, her grandfather, has been captured by a group of evil men. Remembering Li Chu's previous encounter with a water ghost, her grandfather's last wish was for Yu'er to become Li Chu's disciple. With tears in her eyes, she pleads with him to help her clan. Li Chu assures Yu'er that he will assist, asking for information about her clan's whereabouts. However, she doesn't know where they are or who captured them. She seems to have the brain cells of a fish, pun intended. Yu Qian pats Yu'er's head, mentioning that it seems like she just transformed and has not yet adapted to the way humans memorize things. Yu Qian further tells her that they will figure out a way to help her people, or fish. Yu'er then turns to Li Chu, wondering if he agrees to be her master. Seeing Li Chu's hesitation, Yu Qian persuades him that having a koi as a disciple is a unique opportunity. Their bond would enhance each other's luck and power, offering mutual benefits. Before Li Chu can voice his concerns, a worker announces the discovery of a chest. Upon opening it, Li Chu and Yu Qian find a trove of treasure, sparking excitement. Yu'er asks the men if they like their findings, but they deny any interest, claiming cultivators prioritize inner fulfillment over material wealth. Yeah, right. Wanting to please them, Yu'er empties her bag filled with treasures. She claims to have picked them up from the shore, thinking that they looked nice. With a cunning grin, Li Chu convinces Yu'er to stay in the abbey. Suddenly, Miss Li excitedly barges into the abbey, looking for Li Chu. As soon as she sees Yu'er, Li tries her best to keep her cool. Guys don't like jealous girls, and after all, Yu'er doesn't have giant bedonkers like her. Li Chu asks why she visited, so Li replies that there's a new case from Li village. A constable who participated in solving the Li family's case suddenly died in the street. It is said that the cause of his death is related to a copper coin that he found next to Cheng Yangning's body. Li further adds that she has consulted with her master and learned that the coin is from the ghost kingdom in the human world. Since ancient times, the coin has been passed down to this day. Every time the ghost kingdom appears, it brings great disaster to the mortal world. The coin is called life-buying money and is specifically designed to deceive people with resentment. Ghosts use this money to buy people's lives, and after death, those people will turn into grudge spirits to retaliate against other people. Hearing this, Li Chu recalls seeing the coin at the murder scene of Mr. Shue's first wife. Things finally make sense to Li. Based on what she read in the dossier, the first wife's resentment shouldn't have been enough to turn her into a grudge spirit. She must have found the copper coin. Miss Li then invites Li Chu to help her find the culprit of the recent death in Li village. Hearing that picking up copper coins can kill you, Yu'er starts to panic because she's used to doing that. However, the cunning Yu Qian reassures her that they only pick up money but don't spend it. Seriously, old man. Meanwhile, Li reports to Li Chu that another person died the other day. Li Chu asks where the deceased is, and Li replies that it's in the Spring House, the only brothel in town. Upon arriving at the brothel, Li informs Li Chu that the recent victim is named Ruan Hongmei, a geisha from Spring House. Out of nowhere, she hanged herself, holding the copper coin in her hand. As expected, Li Chu's presence drives the girls crazy, and they immediately dash towards him like cats in heat. Suddenly, Lady Chun, the owner of Spring House, and a pair of overly big mommy milkers walk into the scene. She wonders why Li has visited again, although Hong Mei's case has already been thoroughly investigated. She also wonders why she brought a stunning companion with her. Li replies that the case has been solved, and they come to free Hong Mei's soul from purgatory. She asks to take her and Li Chu to Hong Mei's room, to which Lady Chun complies. As they head there, Li informs Lady Chun that there's a mystery behind Hong Mei's death, and they speculate that she might become a Grudge Spirit. Lady Chun wonders how that could be possible, as the young lady never suffered any injustice. As the three pass by, one of the geishas notices Li Chu, prompting her maid to ask if she likes him. The maid shares that he must be around to solve Hong Mei's case, which is said to be complicated. The geisha doesn't pry into the issue, urging the maid to meet their guests. Meanwhile, Lady Chun welcomes Li and Li Chu to Hong Mei's room. She also introduces them to Hongji, Hong Mei's maid. Li immediately gets to it, telling Hongji that Hong Mei might turn into a Grudge Spirit, so they must figure out whom she has resentment against. The maid is shocked to hear her madam's fate, sharing that she had a rough relationship with others, but didn't expect her to become a Grudge Spirit. Suddenly, Hongji shares that Hong Mei recently scolded someone for being ruthless, ungrateful, and half-hearted. When Li asks who it is, Hongji reveals that it's the 7th young master of the Wan family. Well, someone's about to get lucky. Upon informing Wang Longqi of the issue, the young man wails in agony, wondering why horrible things keep happening to him. Despite staying home, Li scoffs at his statement, saying that he was fickle-minded and irresponsible. Wang Longqi justifies that Hong Mei started avoiding him after his incident with the ghost bride. However, she asked him out the other day, and he assumed that she must be running out of money. Wang Longqi is dead set in marrying Gan's son, so she sent 100 taels to Hong Mei and rejected her invitation. Wang Longqi believes he was kind and righteous for what he did. Li Chu suggests that he says that to Hong Mei if she ever visits him, as it may dispel her resentment. Suddenly, Lady Chun reveals that the situation isn't as simple as it seems. Wang Longqi impregnated Hong Mei, and he merely got rid of her with just 100 taels of silver. Wang Longqi is shocked to hear that she was bearing his child. Miss Li further explains that the post-mortem examiner performed an autopsy and found that Hong Mei was indeed 2 months pregnant. Hearing this, Wang Longqi justifies that he hasn't seen her for half a year, let alone sleep with her. Lady Chun immediately interrogates Hongji, asking if Hong Mei slept with other people. Geishas can only have one guest at a time, so she must know something. Threatening to punish her, Hongji hesitates to tell the truth. Hongji immediately bows to the ground, admitting to Lady Chun that the child is Zhao Liankai's. Say what? Wang Longqi is just as shocked. Their taste in women is just uncanny at this point. With this, Liankai gets summoned to the brothel, where he immediately expresses his anger. He claims that Hong Mei tricked her and wanted him to take responsibility for the child. He even justifies that he gave her 1,000 taels of silver, which he believes is a kind gesture. Suddenly, Liankai runs into Li Chu's arms, begging him to protect him. Unbeknownst to Li Chu, this big oaf is only clinging to him because Liang Chun is in the mountains, training for the soul integration realm. Just then, Miss Li volunteers to take action this time. As much as she likes Li Chu, she has to revitalize the Chao Tian Chue Palace's name and not let him take the spotlight every time. Before leaving, Li tells Liang Kai that he's the source of Hong Mei's resentment, and if she turns into a Grudge Spirit, he'll be the first one to go. Li also tells Lady Chun to keep the girls in their rooms while she deals with the threat. As Li walks in the dark hallways of the brothel, she catches sight of an uncanny intruder. It's a vengeful baby spirit, his eyes glowy red and covered in blood. Li tells herself that she should have expected this. Hong Mei killed herself while she was pregnant, so it's not just her who will turn into a Grudge Spirit. The baby spirit starts attacking Li, claiming that it wants her to suffer the same pain. She soon realizes that all her attacks make the spirit's river of blood stronger, disabling her from killing it. Worried that it may cause casualties in the vicinity, Li calls out to Li Chu. Li tries to inform Li Chu that the spirit gets stronger every time it's injured. However, halfway through her speech, Li Chu swiftly decapitates the baby spirit. Yup, just like that. The girls immediately gush over Li Chu's skill, making Li's blood boil. She reminds the ladies that Hong Mei's Grudge Spirit has not appeared yet, so they shouldn't be leaving their rooms. Meanwhile, Long Qi and Liang Kai have stayed up overnight, worried that the grudging spirit might get them. Suddenly, Sheriff Joe barges into the room, informing Li that 2 people have died in a family on the west side of town, and it is said that a grudge spirit is the culprit. Seriously, why is everyone dying in this place? Sheriff Joe shares that the victims were a scholar named Huang and his mother. Both were brutally killed, and there remains a minute of strong yin qi. He further adds that Huang told his mother he wanted to marry a woman from a brothel, but she forbade him and even threatened to kill herself. Hongzi quivers in fear, claiming that Hongmei knew a scholar named Huang. She always praised him, though, and never said anything bad about him. However, after being rejected by both Long Qi and Liang Kai, Hongmei went out and returned looking terrible. Now, Hongji reckons that Hongmei went out to seek Huang, her last and only hope. After being rejected, the ghost appeared to bewitch her, and she fell into the darkness. Li can't believe that the person Hongmei hated the most wasn't Long Qi or Liang Kai, but Huang, an honest and innocent man. With this, Li urges Sheriff Zhao to take her to the scene of the crime. Upon arriving, the group met by the grim corpse of Huang and his mother. Li Chu asks if there is any way to sense yin qi, but Li replies that the qi observing technique is a secret. Only the major sects like Baiyu Palace and Qingyang Palace are capable of such magic ability. However, Li adds that after reaching the soul integration realm, one can expand the divine sense, thereby improving the perception ability. She also says that a cultivator's strong divine sense can easily cover Yuhan town. Hearing this, Li Chu realizes that he has to work harder in harnessing his skills. Compared to the powerhouses in the soul integration realm, he seems like a deaf and blind man, making him vulnerable to attacks. After Li looks around, she tells Li Chu that she will report her findings to the sect. She will also invite a powerhouse to guard the town. Li then covers the house with red strings and bells, and she also draws an ancient symbol on the ground, an attempt to lure the ghost into showing itself. She is dead set to regain the prestige of the Chao Tian Chue Palace after being overpowered by Li Chu. Just then, Hongmei's grudge spirit creeps into the room, her eyes bulging out of her sockets. Li immediately tells Li Chu to get the ghost's attention. Suddenly, the ghost asks if Li Chu wants to marry her, to which the young man bluntly says no. Offended, the ghost asks if it's because she's dirty, and Li Chu plainly says yes. Further agitating the ghost, out of nowhere, Li pulls out a thunder and lightning formation attack, paired with a golden divine lock, effectively killing the ghost. Li Chu is impressed by Li's choice of technique because it's quite costly. Hongmei's grudge spirit is finally dispersed. Much to Li's relief, she proudly proclaims her success, while keeping it a secret that she spent a huge portion of her savings to pull that attack. Li Chu, on the other hand, is convinced that Chao Tian Chue Palace is indeed a powerful sect based on how casually Li used an expensive technique. Oh, Li Chu, if only you knew. Right away, Li and Li Chu update Lady Chun on their mission, and she appreciates their efforts. Li confidently advises Lady Chun to contact Chao Tian Chue Palace if she ever needs help again. However, Lady Chun seems more interested in Li Chu. She whispers to him that if he wants an easy job, he should come to her. Misunderstanding her, Li Chu assumes she means he'll be used as ghost bait. Politely excusing himself, Li Chu heads home, resolving to improve his sensing abilities. He plans to revisit the bookstore, where he once found a helpful book on enhancing his skills and developing an iron body. The next day, Li Chu visits the bookstore and inquires about methods to enhance his perception ability. The owner is surprised by his request for such a book and asks if he successfully developed an iron body from the previous book he purchased. Confirming this, Li Chu surprises the owner further as he mastered the skill from a book that received little attention. Suddenly, the owner retrieves a book titled Mind's Eye, From Novice to Mastery, authored by a legendary sword master. This master devised a unique technique, enabling practitioners to sense human breath solely through mental focus. Remarkably, the author achieved all this despite being blind. The store owner explains that such techniques are usually kept secret, but this master was honorable and wished to share his knowledge with the world. He aimed to liberate people from bodily limitations, even empowering blind individuals to become skilled swordsmen. After purchasing the book for 10 taels of silver, Li Chu remains unaware that the store owner initially acquired it for a low price. I knew that guy was a scammer. Back home, Li Chu delves into the book's teachings. He grasps that all living beings possess a vital life force, and by attuning oneself to it, they can perceive the qi present in all life. This realization strikes Li Chu with its simplicity and clarity. Further reading reveals that through the mind's eye, the world appears with vibrant qi, and it has various colors and forms reflecting the essence, condition, and emotions of living beings. Ordinary people emit blue and red qi, like the yin and yang of life energy within the body. Additionally, black wisps represent negative emotions, potentially making one susceptible to ghostly influences if they intersect with qi. The book emphasizes the extreme difficulty of mastering this skill, requiring both time and talent. Many dedicate their lives to its practice, yet few achieve mastery. However, Li Chu remains confident, drawing confidence from his rapid acquisition of knowledge in high school and his easy attainment of the iron body technique in a single afternoon. Eager to test his newfound knowledge, Li Chu begins practicing the technique. He experiences a sensation just like sleeping, with heightened awareness, making him devoid of hunger or fatigue. Upon opening his eyes, he discovers his soul has detached from his body, entering the realm of qi. Does this guy even struggle at all? Suddenly, as Li Chu ascends into the sky, he notices a mysterious house, emanating a powerful blue glow. Inside, a man laments his heartbreak over someone named Zhen, who supposedly left him because he's weak. Suddenly, a ghost approaches, offering him a pact promising newfound power. The ghost, who has huge melons, offers the man the notorious copper coin. She then promises him great power to seek revenge on those he hates. Sensing his interest, she sweetens the deal, assuring him that he only needs to sacrifice his life to her in return. The man, consumed by his desire for power, recalls how Zhen betrayed him to marry an older man. Her words, calling him poor and ugly and unworthy of being her husband, still hurt. She had sternly told him to stay away. However, just as the man reaches for the coin, Li Chu barges into the house, warning him not to fall for the trap. The man gets starstruck by Li Chu's beauty, while the ghost is pissed that he interfered with her business. Suddenly, the ghost recognizes Li Chu, the renowned Taoist who cleared the ghost building in one night. She cautiously asks if he's been to the ghost building, and as soon as Li Chu confirms, the ghost immediately runs for her life. However, she doesn't even make it far, as Li Chu's sword slashes her dead. This makes Li Chu realize that there are indeed forces of the ghost kingdom in the human world involved behind the ghost building. It seems that things are not about to be great. Before leaving, Li Chu carries the man to the government office, thinking that it's not safe to leave him in the residence. Li Chu runs into Li in the office, and he reports the incident from earlier. Li curiously asks how Li Chu knew there was a grudge spirit, and casually replies that he detected the strong resentment in the area using the mind's eye. Li suddenly pops some googly eyes at Li Chu, impressed that he knows a fancy technique. Li Chu shows her the book he bought, claiming it's a masterpiece of the blind sword master. He further shares that he read it earlier, making Li impressed at the fast pace at which he has learned it. Li reads a portion of the book and concludes that it's all too cliche to be legend. However, Li Chu tells her that observing Chu requires the mind's eye. He believes that Li doesn't have one yet, so she should take her time to feel it. Sometimes this guy is just a little too insensitive. Despite being offended, Li doesn't know how to react to his statement. In another realm, high-ranking ghosts gather for a meeting. They listen to the final lament of the recently deceased ghost, upset about encountering the Taoist priest. Hong Ling, a notable ghost general, suggests that the ghost in question may have been eliminated. Upon learning who her attacker is, Qing Jia, another general, seeks confirmation if it's the same Taoist who cleans the haunted building. Heya expresses frustration, stating they can't just let Li Chu disrupt their plans. The most esteemed among them reminds the generals of the imminent breaking of the king's seal, emphasizing the urgent need to collect life silver. The superior asks them for suggestions on the course of action. Heya reassures the others that Li Chu won't kill them, because if he wanted to, then he would have done that a long time ago. However, Hong Ling reminds her comrade that they are yet to assess Li Chu's strength. Meanwhile, the superior believes that Li Chu should have attempted to kill them, but he didn't, so the viable plan would be to kill him first. Heya is relieved to know that the superior came up with a plan that he liked. Since he likes it so much, the superior assigns him to this task. You don't like it now, do you? Hong Ling laughs at the big guy's reaction, wondering if he's scared. Heya bursts into flames, asserting he's the top ghost general who will deliver Li Chu's head. The superior then orients the generals that they have scattered enough nether copper coins, and by the time their king breaks the seal, ghosts will dominate the world. Hearing their glorious fate, the ghosts cheer enthusiastically. Meanwhile, In the human world, a little ghost freely scatters a bunch of copper coins. He believes that as long as someone picks up the coins, life's silver will be secured. His boss will love him for it. Unbeknownst to him, Heluo is offended that these gold counterfeits exist in the area, not wanting Li Chu to dispose of her. As the treasure gatherer, Heluo tosses the coins into the water. Thank God for this single brain cell fish. Heluo then reports to the abbey, telling Li Chu she didn't have much luck with finding treasures. Suddenly, Gansun walks in, anxiously searching for Li Chu. He asks her what's wrong, and she shyly asks if he could live with her for a while. She's worried that the Green Wing Tower might send out assassins again. Knowing that Li Chu prevented the last attempt, surprised, Li Chu questions why the protection of the Chao Tian Chue Palace isn't enough, considering her father's position as a court-appointed official. In response, Gansun confides her suspicions that a powerful figure might be orchestrating attempts on her father's life. Overhearing the conversation, Yu Qian urges Li Chu to move to Gansun's house to protect her and her father. He just can't stand such injustice to a loyal and virtuous man. However, Yu Qian slyly winks at Li Chu, hinting that it's a perfect time for him to experience manly things. I'm sure Li Chu didn't get that. Being the obedient disciple that he is, Li Chu agrees to protect Gansun and her father. Just then, Li Chu asks Yu Qian what that suggestion was earlier, as expected from the master. He explains that Gansun has incredible assets, not just in social class, but in bodily assets as well. He believes that Li Chu should strike while the iron is hot. Li Chu's face perks in excitement, understanding that he should accept the mission, as Mr. Gansun will reward him well. Like always, Li Chu is still true to branding. That afternoon, Li Chu settles into Gansun's guest house. Miss Gansun enters his room, carrying a bowl of dragon bone soup. Dressed in a revealing outfit, she shyly mentions her newfound fondness for the soup since arriving in the south, admitting it's caused her to gain a little weight. I can tell you where all that fat went. But anyway, Li Chu doesn't even notice her hints. He's more in awe of the golden lappet in her clothing, indicating that she's incredibly rich. As Li Chu drinks the soup, Gansun can't help but admire his pretty face. She then asks if they can chat for a bit, since it's going to be a long night. However, Li Chu refuses, as it may destroy his chances with that coveted reward. As he politely dismisses her, Gansun's excitement causes her to crack the bowl in her hand. That night, Li Chu relaxes on the residence's roof, practicing the mind's eye. Out of nowhere, he suddenly senses a demon's aura coming from Bao Wu, a silver-level killer of the Green Wing Tower. Bao Wu suddenly appears behind Li Chu, claiming that he will demonstrate his strongest killing skill, one that he is sure will blow him to pieces. However, the demon suddenly halts his attack, sensing something cracking within him. In this brief moment, Bao Wu decides to run for it, leaving Li Chu dumbfounded. That must have been the shortest fight in history. Meanwhile, Li Chu believes that it must be some kind of diversionary tactic, so he shouldn't fall for it. Li Chu, being unbothered as always, goes back to meditating. He can't help but realize that the world is filled with dangerous people, so he should reach level 100 as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Bao Wu keeps fleeing for his life. His arm's broken, and he's coughing up blood from just crossing paths with Li Chu. He's surprised that regular Taoist like Li Chu has such a tough body, barely even lifting a finger in defense. It's like Bao Wu's own attack bounced back at him. He's just relieved Li Chu didn't come chasing after him because he knows he wouldn't have stood a chance. Bao Wu realizes his demonic core got busted, and there's no fixing it. This whole ordeal teaches him and his buddies a lesson. Never act on revenge in a rush, especially not against someone as strong as Li Chu. With his last breath, he warns his comrades about Li Chu, jotting it down on a piece of talisman before passing away. Meanwhile, Li Chu stays in his position for a whole week, waiting for Bao Wu to return. My boy, he won't be returning anytime soon. Suddenly, Li Chu senses a commotion downstairs, so he hops down from the roof to investigate. There, he encounters Miss Gansun and her father. Mr. Gansun proceeds to introduce Li Chu to the disciples of Chan Shouchong from Shemshu Abbey, situated outside Zioga City. He claims to have a close friendship with Shouchong, which is why he sent his disciples for additional protection. Mr. Gansun then presents Li Chu to the disciples, who belittle his abilities and regard him as inferior. They stress that they are responsible for Mr. Gansun's safety, cautioning Li Chu not to meddle in their affairs. Miss Gansun, feeling offended, asserts to the disciples that Li Chu is the true protector of her and her father. Since the disciples are the newcomers, she believes they should be the ones seeking Li Chu's assistance. The leader of the disciples eventually concedes, but insists that Li Chu's help won't be necessary. Despite Miss Gonsun's attempts to argue her case, Li Chu calmly expresses that he would be happy to return to Diyun Abbey. Upon finally arriving home, Li Chu feels a sense of relief. However, this relief quickly transforms into anxiety when he notices that the abbey is filled with women eager to catch a glimpse of him. It's a strange problem, but it's undeniable. Swiftly, Li Chu leaps over the concrete wall, desperate to escape the overwhelming attention. As he tries to catch his breath, he realizes that the recent incident is more unnerving than encountering actual ghosts. Yu Qian suddenly appears, claiming that he missed Li Chu. Yu Wei is with the old man, and she's dressed like a true resident of the abbey. Li Chu notices her outfit, so he asks why she's dressing as a Taoist. However, Yu Qian intervenes in the conversation, informing Li Chu that many girls came to the abbey after they heard of his great achievements, and they all seek his help. It turns out that the frail master can't keep up with the women's determination to see Li Chu, so he reassures them that Li Chu will help them as soon as he returns. Thanks to Yu Wei, the workload has been lighter for Yu Qian. However, Li Chu wonders just how Yu Wei helped, and she proudly shares that she assisted Mrs. Li's daughter in getting pregnant. A few days ago, Mrs. Li came to the abbey to pray for a grandson. Yu Wei wished for success, and after the woman went back, her daughter-in-law soon became pregnant. Since then, everyone has come to beg Yu Wei for the koi talismans that carry luck. One koi talisman can sell for 500 copper coins. That side hustle goes hard. Li Chu might just buy a house in Hangzhou soon. Meanwhile, Wan Longqi bangs on the abbey's gates, desperately calling Li Chu. As soon as Li Chu opens the gates, Longqi greets him as his most loyal friend, who will surely help him. However, in Li Chu's eyes, he looks like a golden artifact that is a good source of income. Well, Li Chu then asks if a ghost is after him again, but Longqi clarifies that it's not him this time, but his friend, Xian. As the men settle themselves into a room, Li Chu asks what happened. Longqi shares that he used to be classmates with Xian, and that's how they know each other. So this guy went to school. Longqi elaborates that he's not ignorant, and yes, he did go to school. In fact, the teacher liked him so much, and he was quite an academic achiever. However, he got involved in a scandal with the teacher's daughter, which got him kicked out. Of course, that's very on-brand for Longqi. However, Li Chu cuts to the chase, prompting Longqi to explain that Xian presently resides in Hangzhou Prefecture. He had returned to Yuhang Town with his wife earlier that morning to visit family. Yet, as they passed Miyaofeng Mountain, his wife mysteriously vanished. Longqi adds that recent town rumors suggest monsters lurking in Miyaofeng Mountain, which immediately made him think of seeking Li Chu's help. Xian interjects, recounting how they were merely strolling in the area when a sudden gust of wind forced them to seek refuge. However, upon entering the temple, his wife vanished without a trace. Despite his limited abilities, Li Chu grabs his sword, urging everyone to take action. Meanwhile, in Miyaofeng Mountain, the ghost generals await Li Chu's visit. It turns out that the incident with Xian's wife was a trap, leading Li Chu right into enemy territory. Suddenly, Hongling shares that she's been observing Li Chu for some time, and apart from his handsome looks, he seems pretty ordinary. She doesn't even sense qi in him, so there's a possibility that they might have the wrong person. Heiga argues that everyone in Yuhang Town said Li Chu is their best exorcist, so they must not be mistaken. Since they're already there, they should just kill the guy that they have. If they got the wrong one, they can just find the real one and kill him some other time. And so the men are determined to kill Li Chu, while Hongling wants to peel his face and keep it for herself. Okay, weird. Later that day, Li Chu, Longqi, and Xian arrive at Miyaofeng Mountain, shrouded in an eerie atmosphere, thick with the scent of demons. A falling rock halts their journey, trapping them. Longqi worries about the limited options for escape, knowing that any detour would add hours to their trek. Li Chu takes action, using his sword to carve out a new path through the rocks, impressing Xian and reassuring Longqi. Li Chu humbly credits his abilities to his recent initiation into the path of cultivation, and acknowledges his master as the true source of power. The group continues walking, but it seems to be taking forever. Longqi complains that it's been almost half an hour, and the temple is yet to be seen. Meanwhile, Li Chu senses that the demon's aura seems to get stronger. A few hours later, Long Qi surrenders out of exhaustion. He doesn't remember Miaofeng Mountain having such a huge forest. Meanwhile, Li Chu notices that they've been going in circles as they arrived in the same spot for the third time now. Long Qi agrees, believing that they are trapped in an illusion that they have to crack. Li Chu backtracks, saying that before entering the mountain, he carefully searched the place with his mind's eye. There was no human breath in the mountain, so Xian's wife must not be in the area. Just then, Li Chu urgently tells the men to duck. He swiftly draws his sword, slashing the area surrounding them. Li Chu believes that hallucinations are usually created in special terrains, so as long as the terrain doesn't exist, the hallucinations will naturally disappear. True enough, the illusion breaks down, revealing a temple before them. Suddenly, a fierce fox-looking monster attacks them, and Li Chu senses its familiar aura. He realizes that it's the fox that preys in Diyun Abbey. Li Chu asks Xian if this is the demon that took his wife, but the poor man replies that he doesn't know, because his wife just disappeared. Li Chu politely asks the fox if it could make way for them, but it only growls at him. Suddenly, Li Chu jumps over the fox, surprising the little monster. It then pees on the temple's steps, emitting a foul smell that makes Long Qi's nose tingle. Meanwhile, Li Chu claims that the little fox usually worships gods and should not make such a move. What is probably enshrined in the temple is no other than Xian's wife. Suddenly, a woman calls out to Xian. Li Chu immediately enters the temple, and its small size surprises him. However, after searching the vicinity, he still couldn't find Xian's wife. Just then, Li Chu spots a hidden area with large curtains, and as soon as he flips it open, he discovers the corpse of Chun Xian, along with 4 others. Meanwhile, Long Qi is still bothered by the stench of the fox's urine, preventing him from entering the temple. However, if he doesn't go in, it will make him look like a coward. Suddenly, he realizes that Xian is still standing beside him. So he asks if he is not going to rescue his wife in the temple. Just then, Xian urges Long Qi to look behind him. To Long Qi's surprise, Hong Ling is looking straight at him, making him feel giddy. He wonders how a pretty lady like her has ended up in the mountains. Suddenly, he notices that her facial features are stunning, but when they are put together in one face, they don't seem very complimentary. It's like they don't even belong to the same face. Just then, Hong Ling cups his face, saying his skin looks good, but it's less compared to Li Chu's. It doesn't look that bad to peel off for her collection, though. However, Long Qi suddenly swats her hand away, claiming that he's not afraid of her. Hong Ling is entertained, and she teases Long Qi, telling him she's a ghost. Long Qi reminds her that the Taoist in the temple is his sworn brother, and she will be dead if he messes with her. Hong Ling only scoffs at this threat and suddenly reveals her trump card. Out of nowhere, the temple turns into a black tiger. Meanwhile, the other generals beat up the fox monster because it almost ruined their plans. Heya proudly claims credit for coming up with a clever plan to defeat Li Chu, convinced that their collective strength will overpower him. Yet, despite his confidence, he can't ignore the odd taste in his mouth, unaware that the fox had peed in it. Suddenly, Xian pleads with Hong Ling to let his wife go as he fulfilled his end of the deal. However, the demon only laughs at him, telling him that she already claimed his precious wife's pretty nose. Heya also mocks Xian, saying that the people he ate can no longer be resurrected. Suddenly, Qing Jia tells Heya to eat Long Qi for lunch. Xian intervenes, telling the generals to at least let Long Qi go. Heya commends his loyalty, but unfortunately, he still feels hungry. However, Long Qi says that he has one last question before he dies. Why is Heya's belly glowing? Suddenly, a brilliant blue light slices through Heya's body, revealing Li Chu unharmed and poised for revenge. Shocked, Hong Ling and Qing Jia tremble at the sight of the formidable Taoist priest. Long Qi rejoices at the sight of his friend, and Li Chu explains that he was fortunate Heya's belly wasn't thick. Hong Ling urges Qing Jia to join her in fighting Li Chu, but he falls with a single stroke from Li Chu's blade. She really said yeet, huh. Meanwhile, Xian Ghost finally disperses, allowing him to ascend to the afterlife. This makes Long Qi realize that everyone he's ever dealt with is a ghost. Is he actually a ghost magnet? Just then, Li Chu urges Long Qi to head home, bringing the injured fox with him. Long Qi is weirdly interested in keeping the fox, promising to take good care of it. Mei is just interested in when it turns into a human. Li Chu says that it's up to the fox if it wants to be Long Qi's disciple. After it heals, they will ask it if it wants him as a master. Later on, Li Chu arrives at Diyun Abbey. Yu Qian asks if Xian saved his wife, and Li Chu plainly says no. Meanwhile, Yu Wei heals the little fox. Yu Qian suggests that the fox must make Li Chu its master after it heals. However, at the back of the old fart's head, he's excited for Li Chu because foxes are known to be fair-skinned and beautiful when they transform. Meanwhile, Hong Ling returns to Whitebone Mountain, reporting the incident to her superior. After hearing her narrative, the superior decides to ask their king for his opinion on their next move. Hong Ling is surprised that her superior, Bai Jian, is actually going to awaken the king. The mountain suddenly trembles, and Bai Jian claims that the king wants to meet Li Chu personally. In Diyun Abbey, Yu Wei organizes an auction, offering a special ghost-busting service by Li Chu to the highest bidder. Li Chu doesn't like all the attention from these thirsty women, but Yu Xian assures him that other sects also capitalize on the fame of their strongest members. Meanwhile, Miss Li struggles to get across the crowd, wanting to talk to Li Chu. Suddenly, Yu Qian realizes that Li Chu has gone missing, and he hears from one of the girls that Li took him. As soon as they're alone, Li reports to him that there's something wrong with Miss Ge, a woman from the Ge village.